Welcome to the Steve Show. Today I have Mariska Lehman on the show, and she's here because she's been a client of mine. Now we work together, and when we met 2 years ago, she was working way too hard, had a number of wrong clients that were causing a lot of grief in her life. She wasn't making the money that she needed to make, and now fast forward, she's worked 6 to 8 hours a week, not a day. And she's doubled her business income, tripled her personal income, and it's been amazing. So let's find out how this occurred. Well, Mariska, welcome to the show, and I just want to say how grateful I am that you're here, and it's been a pleasure working with you, and I kind of want to maybe just share with everyone how much really has changed since you started working with me.
Okay, so since I started working with you, so much has changed that, oh God, it's a lot. So,
the Cliff Notes for now, and then we'll pick it apart.
Cliff Notes for now. Oh my God, because I'm like, well, back in the day. Yeah. But, well, let's see. I got married. That was huge. Within I think a month of meeting you, I got married.
Yeah, so that was already planned. I
didn't
have much to do with that.
But it happened,
Yeah.
so I'm sharing that.
Yeah.
Greg and I did buy a house. Greg's my husband. And interesting, I was able to triple my income, which was really cool, and do it in a way that was way less stressful. I think one of the biggest things is that I don't freak out or stress out the way I used to. I was always on edge, and it wasn't very fun. It was not good. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's kind of maybe where to start. If we go back and look at where you were prior to coming to the first time. So you saw me speak, and then you came to More Business, More Life workshop, right? That was about the time that we really started doing some stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was actually March, and it was specifically 2016. And I don't remember the exact date in March, but I remember it was March. And I woke up that morning and I checked my email because I had to check my email. I was addicted to email. That's check number one right there. I had to check my email, and I had received an email from a very unwow client, and it was very aggressive. And then she proceeded to call my staff and chew them out 3 times, calling them liars and being really mean to them. It's all these text messages at the event while you were speaking. And I just was like, God, this is unfortunate. This person is really not good to work with. And it's when you go somewhere, you're trying to be in a good mood, and at the same time you got this thing lingering. So it was like that. And
so this is the first time you heard me speak?
Yeah, it was the first time I heard you speak, and you were talking about how you can work with only WOW clients. And I'm like,
yeah.
I need to know how I can have this.
Right. Yeah. So it's no coincidence that there you are dealing with this client that's not so much wow.
Yeah.
Maybe even ow.
It was extremely ow. It was excruciating. It was a really awful experience.
Oh my gosh. And then at that same moment, then I'm talking about wow clients. So that kind of hit it off. Huh?
Oh yeah, and I was.
Maybe I should send a thank you card to that client saying thank you. She teed it up perfectly for me.
Oh, that you should. That might be a good
might
thing.
Be a good thing.
But I just remember feeling that sense of anxiety, and I always wanted to be there for the clients, and I was just I would just hang on for dear life, for everything, and it was just I would totally freak out. It wasn't good. It was so unhealthy. And I thought that if I wasn't working, if I wasn't checking my email, if I wasn't doing all these things, then I was not going to make money, and I wasn't doing everything that I could do to be successful. And oh my God, that was a stressful time, which was a lot of time. It was 4 years of time.
Oh my gosh. And when that was boiling up and you're trying to make good with every client, whether they were wrong to work with or not, you're there in it. Mm-hmm. How is that affecting you in your life?
God, well, I didn't sleep. And that was, and it's funny, I didn't notice I didn't sleep until recently when I realized that I was actually sleeping through the night. Without any aids. I go to sleep now and I actually wake up and refreshed and I sleep through the whole night. But before that, I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I couldn't fall asleep at night, and when I did fall asleep, I'd wake up about midnight and I'd be on Pinterest till about 3 o'clock in the morning because I just couldn't sleep. So I'd figure out something else to do that was fun because I needed to take my mind off of everything.
Wow.
So that was horrible. So I was tired all the time.
It's interesting how we don't notice what it was really like until you have something different, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So as life gets better, then you do it. And the opposite could happen too. Like something could get worse and be like, wow, that was really good. But it's seeing the kind of the yin and yang, like to really notice it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one thing I noticed too, like just recently, like I actually did think about this. I was like, I was making like no money and our revenue had plateaued that year. And so I was like, we had grown since I had joined the company. I mean, my mom was awesome and, let me kind of experiment. But at the same time, I didn't know how to
I guess we should say that just so everyone else catches up, because I know you and I are talking to each other and we know this already. But so your mom was your business partner, is still with that business.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because she doesn't really know a lot about marketing. Like, it's not her thing. She's very, very good at mergers and acquisitions. She likes, numbers and things. She's very much of an examiner type of person. So marketing is like totally different area for her. So doing any form of marketing, sales, and everything, that's not really her thing, and she'll tell you that. And so I was sort of out there experimenting, and I was reading everything, and I remember cold calling, and that was awful. And so there were all these things, we would grow a little bit through those things. And one year we actually did grow a lot more when I started learning a little bit more about referrals and how to do that. But we had plateaued, and it was not helpful for anybody. It was like, man, I'm taking every single client that comes my way, which was not really the best thing. And at the same time, I was making like no money at all. Like, it was pretty depressing, and it was interesting. So I had convinced myself, oh no, I'm so successful. And I remember it was you who really got it through my head. No, Mariska, you're making like no money. Like, I was like, when I realized that, I was completely devastated.
Yeah, well, and it's hard. When I first had my coach, it was like realizing where I was. Like, I didn't fully realize in my 20s that I'd lost $4 million that I had earned, came in and went out. Mm-hmm. And it takes sometimes having someone to reflect that back so you can truly know where you are. And it's awesome that you were building mindset around yourself, but then also noticing where you are and where we need to go. Because if we just ignore it for whatever reason, then we can't actually have the growth that you want in certain areas, right? It all depends on what you're working on, but knowing what's going on. And so, you had money coming in, but by the end of paying for living expenses or any of those things, it's basically having nothing left for yourself. And that's why when you first met me, going back to buying a home, that was like not even on the table that much, because you're like, how am I going to do that?
Well, that's kind of it. Like, Greg had pointed out to me several times, but I didn't want to believe him. So I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And then when I talked to you about it, I was like, oh, shoot, I got to do something about this. And I realized I was getting married, and I'm going, this is a responsibility. This is like a family. This is not just me anymore. This is me and Greg. And to some degree, I felt like, I couldn't just do that to the whole family. That's not fair. I know Greg works super hard, but, I think we both agree that it's nicer when both of us are working because we both like to work. So it just was like, I got to do something about this. And that was a huge turning point for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad that we turned that corner.
Yeah.
And made that. So when this realizations happened and we started working on it, what are the things that you think at the beginning made the most significant change? So, coming back maybe to WOW clients, because you said, there I am talking about WOW clients. That's one of my things. Hey, we should only work with our WOW clients. And that's why we're sitting here right now, because we've had some WOW times together, and it makes an amazing way to work, right? And I think for me, that's where I want to show up, where I'm energized and I'm excited. And I know we've talked about this before. Do you think that's the most significant shift at the beginning of our relationship and working together, or was it something else?
I would say that was a huge shift, because for the first time in my career, I was like, I don't have to work with everybody. Like, I'm not a good fit for everybody. And it was okay. Like, that was great in some ways. And just kind of giving this space, and I know the team, they're an amazing team. giving them that permission to decide whether or not it's a good fit for them if they want to work with a client, I think gave them a lot of relief too. And that kind of just calmed everybody. Like, we're not as on edge because we don't have people that put us on edge like that anymore.
Right.
And it was interesting within 3 months of working with you one-on-one, because that's where it progressed. Was it 3 months? No, it was actually the first month. All these people were unwowed, just quit. They'd cancel service, and we were like, let's get some champagne, woo!
Right. Yeah, so you're letting go of clients and you're opening champagne.
It was
whole
awesome.
different mindset.
Yeah, a whole different mindset. And, in some degree, it was a little scary I think my mom, she's more of a numbers person,
right.
so she was like, oh, the numbers. But then what I told her was this is going to allow space for more WOW clients. And then literally, I think within 3 months, all these WOW clients came. We hit our annual goal last year in March. So it was yes. And it was a good experience,
Right. Yeah. So just to be clear on that, so 2017, by March of 2017, you hit the annual goal in 3 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And we did the surveys right away. We surveyed our WOW clients, and I had one of our managers do it, Pam. She's really cool. And she was Hi,
Pam.
Hi, Pam. She loves talking to clients. That's her favorite thing to do. And I think every time we would get a survey, and sometimes we would call them, and sometimes we use Survey Monkey, because some of them were I'm just too busy. But they would come back, and she would just go, oh my God, I had no idea how important I was. Just knowing that for them was huge. I mean, employee morale just changed because they realized how valuable they are. And that was so awesome.
Right.
That was a huge gift.
It's so beautiful, and we underestimate that. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs, and even when solopreneurs, they're doing it themselves, just the questions that I teach people to use that you've taken, they go and they find out what's going on, and then that empowers you to go help more people.
Yeah.
I always say, if you just read what comes back from the surveys before you start to go do business development, before you go to a networking event, before you pick up the phone, how much that empowers you.
Right.
And also, it just came to my realization, we haven't shared what business you're in.
Oh.
So maybe just tell them about just so they know when we're talking about your business that it is an answering service. So
it is an answering service.
Maybe just tell the name of the company and what you do briefly.
Awesome. Yeah, it's Access Answering Service, and what we do is we typically help business owners who are successful, and they own 24-hour type businesses, so plumbers, property managers, physicians, and towing companies, and they have a lot of volume after hours, and missing every phone call is really devastating for them. But at the same time, they can't answer every call because it's super stressful. So we help them by answering their phone calls for them and handling all their calls afterwards. So doing all the dispatching and stuff like that. And they can go on to live a sensational life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful audio logo.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
I
learned that, right? I learned that from Steve. Yeah.
That's another thing that I teach and that you just briefly did. And now it's so much more compelling than saying, oh, we answer phones for people. Right. And not saying that that's what you said before, but it's so much more dynamic when you use that process. And, we won't break it down right now, but the quick of it is that you say who it's for, what's their pain or challenge, and then what do they gain from working with you, which you illustrated so well.
Thank you.
And it's beautiful. Well
yeah,
done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I learned that from you too. I've learned so much. I was reflecting and going, oh my God, I've learned so much. So much has changed in the past 2 years since we've been together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and that's why we're doing this interview, because just to showcase this and also to share the excitement of what's going on, and so let's go back. So there you are. You start working with WOW clients. At first, it's kind of a little scary, but also celebrating because you're changing who you're working with.
Yeah.
And then and you lost some of those, but you opened up space.
Oh yeah.
And now you have all of these WOW clients, staff morale's gone up, revenue's gone up. I think you said, I know personally you tripled your income, and in the business you doubled the income.
Yeah, roughly, yes.
Yes. And then and you're continuing to grow. But here's the significant thing is that you've also rescheduled how you live your life.
Oh, yes.
So you are working much more hours. Maybe share how the difference between how many hours you're working to what you're doing now and still having growth.
So the interesting thing was I had this mindset, and I know it's common, that if I wasn't working at least 8 hours a day, that I was not successful. That's what successful people do. And, I had read a lot and I had a lot of friends who were like, oh, I have to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, I'm not successful because that's what successful people do. So, when I first started, I would do 8 hours, but I'd start at 10 because I used to love to work out. And then I go to evening networking events. Well, so that time was filled with all kinds of cold calling and very fun stuff. But then at the same time, it wasn't
when
very
you said
effective.
fun stuff,
It wasn't very fun. No, it wasn't fun.
But, yeah.
It was not. It was very unpleasant. I'm just not a huge fan of cold calling, and it just feels like an interruption for me, and I don't like that. That's not, especially being in an answering service where you're preaching,
Right.
Don't be interrupted. Let us handle our calls for you. I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic. But I was but then I had all these friends who were like, oh, I gotta be early. And I started progressively making my day earlier. And so I stopped working out as much. Which interesting, my knees started to hurt and I was very uncomfortable. I drove everywhere. I was like, I'm going to meet all the clients in person. And there was value in that. And at the same time, it was very time consuming and I spent a lot of quality time in my vehicle. And then at the same time, I didn't have time to cook for myself. So Greg and I are very busy people. So I would just, eat whatever. And in that time, I shamedly gained about 25 pounds. So I gained weight. I didn't work out. I was in pain. I wasn't enjoying time. I would even just sit in my office. I remember there were times I actually sat in the office just to say that I was at the office for 8 hours. It was ridiculous. But what I found was that I was also filling my time with just not very effective things. I was just, saying, oh, I should do this because, I think this is what grows businesses, so I'm just going to do this. So I started creating work for myself too. I'd get creative. And I remember one of the things I remember from the first time that you spoke was it's simple, and we're humans and we make things complicated. I was like, oh shoot, I'm making everything complicated. And that's something that, when I, started listening to everything that you said, all right, that's it. I'm choosing 3 things I'm going to do every day to grow the business. And that's it. That is all I'm doing. And then I'm limiting my time. So I limited my time. I started doing those things and the business grew. And that was it. But I can't get too creative. I'm not allowed to get creative.
Right? Well, get creative in the moments that you need to be.
Yes.
But we get creative in all these things. And then we pull things from here or there. And we start randomizing our business. And there's lots of good ideas out there. And even what I do is not the only way to do it. However, if you want to, take that and say, okay, I'm just gonna do this for this period of time, and then we'll adjust, which you did. And now share, where did that progress to? So now, what is life?
Yeah, so life is way better. So I'm working out again. I'm training for my first triathlon, and that'll be on June 3rd in Auburn. I'm so excited. But it's interesting because now I'm in this phase of the training that's it's a lot longer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I don't actually get to start working until 11, sometimes even 12, because it's just a lot longer. And I now have this freedom to do that. One thing that I did, I stopped checking my email as much because that was taking up a lot of time. And I realized that the world doesn't come crashing down. That's really awesome. So I check it once a day. I have a 30-minute window for that. And if the answering service, I get no emails. I get 10 emails to respond to a week. So, because everyone knows hey, there's a manager that can help you, and they're really good at it.
There's a protocol for that. Yep.
There's a protocol, and they're just so awesome. And so I'm that's cool. So all the stuff that I was micromanaging and creating for myself, that stuff's gone. And when I took all the fluff out, so to speak, I started being able to work 6 to 8 hours a week, and the business is still growing. And that's so awesome. And
per week, just to put this, you said that. I know you
Yeah.
said that, and I just want to say it
Yeah.
again, because we're not talking 6 to 8 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a week in the business, and that's it.
That's it.
And you're growing.
Yeah, and there are weeks that, I'm a lot less than that. When we went to Las Vegas and then I went into NLP, that week I worked literally maybe an hour the entire week. And guess what? The world didn't fall down. and the business is still growing, and it's just beautiful. Like, my energy is so different. Like, I have energy, I feel more peaceful. Like, I just, we even had an unwow client interview, like a potential client, like was it 2 weeks? No, it was last week. And both managers were on the phone with me, and it was like an interrogation. They were like, "You don't understand." And I followed your sales, techniques, through Discovering a Match, which is an awesome course. And they were not having it. They were just like, "Ah, you don't understand, blah." And I was like, this is a really bad situation. So there was one thing they asked if we could do. I knew we could do it, but I was like, I don't want to do it. So I was like, I don't think we can help you. You're right. We can't help you. We're a bad fit. Just go find, nicely, I said, go find another answering service. I was like, I want you to have the service that you want, and I don't think we can give that to you. So I really hope you find that answering service is the right fit for you. And they just said, "Oh my God, thank you so much for your honesty." And I got off the phone, and it felt like the whole team just like breathed. Like,
took a breath.
Yeah. But and I came home, I told Greg about it, and I was like, "Ah!" And then he was like, "Whoa, that's like way too much energy. Like, I feel like you're attacking me." And I was like, "Well, that's how it was." And then half an hour later, I had just kind of moved on, and he was like, "I remember the time when you would have fretted over this. Like, I would have like freaked out that A, I didn't get the client, and B, it was like, it freaked me out so much, like, because it was just wrong energy." So it was like there was a time that this would have been like all consuming for my brain.
Well, what if you would have
days.
taken the client on? If you would have done things to answer the questions and got the client, and then it would have been like 6 months or a year of dealing with this individual, and they might work better with somebody else, or maybe that's just the way that they are, but it's whatever it is, you don't want it in your house. You don't want it in your house.
No, so. I don't. And my team thanked me. They were like, "Thank God for you that you said that." And I was like, yeah, there's nothing else. Like, I was shaking on the phone. I was like, "What is this?"
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's disturbing you that much.
Woo!
Like, exit.
Yeah.
And now you have the permission to do it, and business does better.
Yeah.
Like, you've been through it already. You've lost all those non-WOW clients and now gained WOW clients, and know that it grows the business.
It does.
And so it's okay to turn them around. And I think that's the biggest thing that I always teach, and it's a great point to make in this moment, is that when we take anyone on, we actually bring cancer into our business, and thereby causing, stress on ourselves. It leads to heart disease and all kinds of things as we get older. We just want to get stress out of our life to have a better life now and a better life down the road. And in doing that, you can have, and you're an example. I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on the show and have this example, because this is possible. Let's back up to that moment. You got to the point where you're doing 6 to 8 hours a week of work, and you and I were on a call, and you're like, "Steve, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have so much extra time now." And you said, I like what you're doing, Steve. What, maybe I want to do that. And I said, "Well, why don't you volunteer a little bit and shadow and see?" And then that worked out so well. I was like, "I think I'm going to pay you to hang out even more." And here we are. So maybe explain a little bit how that transpired for you from your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I want to express gratitude, because I was just reflecting. I'm like, I've so much has changed in the past 2 years. Like, I mean, I'm eating healthier. Well, Greg and I are both eating healthier. We've discovered Urban Remedy through you. And now we have healthy options all the time. We've lost a lot of weight. We're both sleeping a lot better. We're both exercising again. And it's just so and it's okay. We were like, "Oh, this is great." So I feel like we've both been really impacted, and Greg more indirectly, because he hears, gets it through me. I'm funneling all that energy.
Of course, why wouldn't you bring it home?
Yeah, right. And I'm like, wow, and just the lack of just the non-stress. Oh my God, I think everything's okay. The universe is all good, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I was not there 2 years ago. I felt like I had to control every piece of everything. Empowering my team to do whatever they want to go do. It's they can do a good job, and that's awesome. And I'm not overbearing or anything like that.
Wow.
That's so cool. So I want to thank you for that, because that's awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. And I'm glad that I was there to. Well, and I'm just. For me, I always say I'm just the guide, It's I'm on the tarmac helping you not hit your wings, get your plane off the ground, but you took the action, and I'm just glad that I was able to be there and be that guide, and then you took the right action, And it's not about doing more action. You know, a lot of coaches like, well, you have to do more, put more time in. It was like doing the right things, which way reduced the amount of things you're doing, giving you this stress-free environment. So it's awesome. I'm really happy for you.
It's really awesome. I'm so excited, you know, meditating and stuff. It's pretty cool. So, you know, I went back, I remember during one of our sessions, I was like venting all over you. I was like, oh my God, all these things, I don't want to do them. They're awful. And then you were like, why are you doing them? And I'm like, because I have to. And you were like, no, you don't. And I was like, yes, I do. And then I made this, he was like, okay, go make a list of the things you don't like. We'll figure out how to delegate them. And I was like, okay. And I wrote down this long list. And I showed it to my mom. I said, Mom, I don't like these things. Because actually you told me to show my mom. And so she was like, oh my God, these are the things I want to do. Like, this is so great. And so she took them on. And like, she was so happy. Like, she felt like, wow, these are things I get to do. And she expressed her gratitude like last year. And she was like, wow, I feel so grateful that you grew this business. And I have something to be really excited about. I'm really excited. Awesome. So she's really excited, and she gets to do something that gives her purpose and meaning in life, and that's super cool. So it ends up working out fantastically. Where our relationship before you was kind of more like this in business. And so you really also taught me how to communicate better with my mom on a business level. And I think like that was so helpful because it was really affecting our mother-daughter relationship too. And it was not a good thing. Like, I was not sure where that was going to go, and that was really scary because, you know, my mom and I had always been super close, and this was the first time we weren't, so I felt like the business was coming between us, and now it's, I think, reuniting us, so that's really cool.
Awesome. So happy.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So then I magically got down to like 6 to 8 hours a week, and I thought to myself, okay, you know, I really thought about what are people calling me about, like what do they need? And sometimes they need, you know, people call me and they tell me things about their phones, but it's deeper than phones. Like it's, the phone is then a Band-Aid. It's not really, you know, answering your phones is not the issue. There's something deeper because sometimes they don't have systems. And sometimes, why don't they have systems? I don't know. So then I realized, I was like, you know, originally I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to do like customer service training. And I was like, I'm going to figure out how to be like a customer service coach. And then I was like, I'm going to ask Steve how to be a customer service coach. And then I remember you said, why don't you come shadow me and learn more about this business? I said, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to go do that. And now I'm realizing that I don't really want to be a customer service coach, but I love like just watching the transformations of everybody, like when they first come in and then like they go through like mentorship and right. Wow, like all these lives are changed and that's so cool. And I'm like, I want to be more part of this whole life-changing experience. That's awesome. So thank you for having me be a part of this. It's really exciting for me. Yeah.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm excited, equally as excited. And this is what happens when you have wow clients, right? That you have these wow moments, and it becomes amazing relationships while we're doing business together.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a beautiful thing. So I'm just curious, is there anything that we didn't share that you think is really important? Are there any other value items that we didn't cover today that you think is worth sharing so people can hear about it?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got like 3 things. So
okay.
Number 1, I have never laughed so hard and made money as when I've been with you. So I was like, you can laugh this hard and make money. Like it hurts. Like it's so awesome.
Yeah, right.
Like,
you're getting the ab workout. Oh,
yeah. I'm like, wow, this is so much fun. And I'm like, this is exciting.
Yeah, that's it. When you work with me, you don't just get good business, you get a great ab workout.
That's awesome. I mean, in like 1 more year, I'll probably have like a 6-pack.
That's
so
it.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll get it done.
So that's cool. And 2, I think everyone should do all the programs. And 3, I feel like I'm getting my creative brain again, and that's really nice. Like I'm working on my laugh project, as you know, so that's pretty cool. But like that was something that sort of was missing for a while. So I'm like really excited. I get to go do something like fun. Like I get to have fun. That's awesome. Working with Steve means you get to have fun.
That's it. Yay! I know, right? It is. I mean, it's one of the core values. So, you know, for my company, you know, gratitude is huge, and everything that comes to us, whether it looks like a positive or a negative, where can we find the gratitude in that? And that helps you look at it and make new choices and then move forward, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second is freedom, to be able to have freedom without any inhibitors. What do we desire in our life to be able to go have that? And the third is fun. Why
Yeah.
can't we enjoy what we're doing? And when we're not, for me, that's an indicator that we're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You know, we're on the wrong road, so let's find the right road.
Yeah.
So and you've taken that on and had this huge opportunity. And I'm super grateful that we've gotten to the point where not only was I able to help you get your company to where it's a workable place that you can manage with a minimum amount of hours, and now you get to spend a lot of time in the company here and help me grow it. Now help with speaking engagements and help with our success team so that we can help more people have success. And so you really are making a difference by being part of this team now. We're going to be able to go help thousands and into the millions of people's lives together by working on these projects, including your Laugh project. And we also have another thing that's coming. It's called Movement by Mariska, because getting into movement, and we do it at all of our workshops, and that's an awesome thing that you've brought to the group. I was always doing movement and creating some sort of exercise or something to get everyone's energy at a different level at the events, but bringing you into that is taking that to a new level as well. So it's really exciting. It really does become mutual. And I think that's what we should also express here today, is that when you work with wow clients, it takes everything to another level. Like, it's taking things for me to another level. It's taking things for you to another level, and it becomes this mutual benefit. And that's really what it should be. If you're drained by having a client, and you get money for that, it's still a loss. Over time, you're going to take a harder loss, and then when you are winning and the client's not, then that's going to not last long. So either one of those don't last long. Right? If you would have kept going down the road you were going on, how much longer would you really have been able to do it?
Oh my God, it was awful. There was one person, all weekend, I was at the gym and I had like an anxiety attack because I had no idea how to help her. She was not telling me what she wanted. She was just sort of passive aggressively like, I want to listen to your recordings. And I was going, well, what's wrong? She wouldn't even tell me. Like, what are we doing that's, causing you concern? Like, how can we help you? Nothing. Like, she wouldn't communicate.
It was just having an issue. And so to have all that be gone.
Yeah.
And now have the life
it's
that
so
you have now.
awesome. I mean, I just told Greg I've decided to buy an outdoor desk so I can actually work outside. And I'm like, I don't think I would have thought of that 2 years ago. Like, this is so awesome. I have an outside desk. That's cool.
Yeah. Right, we get more choice.
Yeah.
And everyone has more choice. And you made a choice to work with me, and now you've made a lot of choices in your business in a different way. And we don't all have to work hard and do all those things that are beliefs and now have this life. And so hopefully this has been a great illustration of what it can be. And so I just appreciate you coming on the show and sharing these moments and allowing other people to see a little bit and being open to share about your life and where it was and where it is now. I think that's huge for everyone, because now you're another example of what people can have. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's cool. I never thought of it that way.
Right.
I'm just living in my own peace now. I'm just kind of going, ooh, like, this is awesome. And I got to meet really great people through you too. So that's really awesome. And I have to say that.
Yeah, it's been well, and I just want to make this final point, unless there's anything you want to add, but is when you become who you want to see in the world. That's really Gandhi said that. I think he said, I don't know the exact words, but it's more or less that, become what you want in the world, or be what you want in the world, because that is the example. And I know as a father, becoming who I want to see my kids become is most important, because they're going to watch us more than listen to us. So that's why you are an example in the world, because becoming who you are now has allowed you to express that to everyone else in the world, and people are watching you. And now they will even more, because you're on this on this episode. Literally, they're watching this video right now, and that can share that, hey, this is possible, and they just have to make some different choices.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
You rock, man.
Oh, thank you, Mariska. Anyway, I have so much love and gratitude as well for you, and I'm excited. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I just want to remind all of you, remember that if you like this, please subscribe. Please let us know. If you have questions for Mariska and I, we're both pretty active, so just ask questions and things that you want to know more about. That could be a whole nother episode. Maybe we'll do a second episode. Who knows? And so just let us know. And most important, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom. So go out there and start thinking about what you can do differently in your life right now. Take care.